What do Vladimir Putin, the King of Saudi Arabia, and Lionel Messi all have in common? They were all named in the Panama Papers, the biggest data leak in history, exposing how the world's richest and most powerful people hide their money in offshore havens. We're talking about $30 trillion in hidden wealth. That's trillion with a T, more than the GDPs of the US and China combined. So how does this secret world work? Who got caught? And why did almost nobody go to jail? Let's break it down. And if you want more breakdowns like this, subscribe to Modern Money Mysteries, where we follow the money behind the headlines. It all started with one message. In 2015, a German journalist named Bastian Obermeier from Süddeutsche Zeitung received an anonymous text that simply said, "Hello, this is John Doe. Interested in data?" That data turned out to be 2.6 terabytes of internal documents from a little-known law firm in Panama called Mossack Fonseca. What was in them? Over 11.5 million files showing how thousands of clients, from presidents to pop stars, used offshore companies and shell accounts to hide money. This wasn't just tax dodging. It was a blueprint for global financial secrecy. To investigate it, Süddeutsche Zeitung teamed up with the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, ICIJ, and over 370 journalists from 80 countries. Let's pause for a second. What exactly is an offshore account? It's a financial account or shell company that's registered in a country other than where you live, often in places like Panama, the British Virgin Islands, or the Cayman Islands. These countries are known as tax havens. They offer secrecy, low taxes, and almost no questions asked. And here's the kicker. Owning an offshore company is not illegal. But what you do with it can be. You can use it to hide ownership of businesses, dodge taxes, launder money, or just keep your name out of the press. In fact, offshore systems handle an estimated $21 to $32 trillion globally, according to the Tax Justice Network. The Panama Papers exposed more than 140 politicians and public officials, including Vladimir Putin's inner circle, who moved over $2 billion through offshore networks. Nawaz Sharif, Prime Minister of Pakistan, who was disqualified from office after revelations about his family's offshore assets. Iceland's Prime Minister, who resigned 2 days after the leak. Lionel Messi, who allegedly used an offshore company to manage image rights. Even King Salman of Saudi Arabia and the children of China's top officials were named. There were also links to drug traffickers, mafia organizations, Ponzi schemers, and arms dealers. The leak didn't just expose private wealth. It connected offshore finance to public corruption and organized crime. So, how did Mossack Fonseca help people hide money? Here's a simple version of the playbook. 1. You create a shell company in a secrecy-friendly country. These are empty legal entities with no employees or offices. 2. You appoint nominee directors, basically strangers who sign the papers so your name doesn't show up anywhere. 3. You open a bank account under that shell company. 4. Then you move your assets into the shell. Cash, real estate, stocks, even luxury yachts. End result? You've legally distanced yourself from your money. No one can trace it back to you. And if your country ever comes asking, you shrug and say, "I don't own it." Mossack Fonseca created over 214,000 shell companies like this. That's not a side hustle. That's industrial-scale secrecy. You might think, surely someone went to jail for this. But not really. The law firm Mossack Fonseca shut down in 2018. but its founders only faced charges in Panama years later, and none in the U.S. Despite thousands of Americans being linked to offshore accounts, the U.S. filed 0 criminal cases based on the Panama Papers. Why? Because in most cases, what was revealed was legal and incredibly hard to prosecute. Plus, these wealthy clients have teams of lawyers. Governments don't. The ICIJ estimates that only about $1.3 billion in unpaid taxes and fines have been recovered globally, a fraction of the total wealth exposed. Here's the real danger. The Panama Papers didn't just reveal scandalous headlines. They exposed a parallel financial universe. While the average person works, saves, and pays taxes, the ultra-rich can move billions anonymously across borders with zero accountability. This erodes trust, it widens inequality, and it's still happening right now in places like the British Virgin Islands, Dubai, and Delaware. Yes, Delaware. The leak pulled back the curtain. But the system, it barely changed. The Panama Papers showed us how power really works. It's not just about who has money, it's about who can hide it. If this kind of deep dive matters to you, hit subscribe to Modern Money Mysteries. We break down how the elite move money, avoid taxes, and rewrite the rules, while the rest of us play by them. Drop a comment. Do you think offshore accounts should be banned, reformed, or left alone? Until next time, stay curious, stay sharp, and follow the money.